guys, it's Nicole, and today I am sharing a fun birthday double page layout. I am using a sketch from Scrapbook Generation. This is designed by Allison Davis. It's one of their bundles, all geared towards 4x6 photos. I believe it's a 10 sketch bundle. I've been kind of nibbling away at it. I don't remember how long ago I started this, but any of the videos that are within this sketch bundle, I try to put on a playlist, and then kind of like how I run their classes and their other sketch bundles, when I get to the end, if anybody's interested, I can do kind of like a recap video showing these are my 10 layouts that I made with the sketches. I don't show the sketches, but it's kind of just like I don't know, it's like a fun share for me to be like, I worked through this, I got my money's worth, I did all 10, I'm going to share them with you, and that kind of a thing. So the sketch that I'm working with today is sketch 8. It also says week 8 on here. This might have been part of a Facebook group class now that I'm kind of looking at it, and I think I fell off the wagon a very long time ago. So that's something I'm going to have to go back, and if it is, I will post my layout there as well, and probably scoot through the gallery. I tend to not look at those galleries until I complete my layout. I just think it's more fun like that, and I tend to lean into sort of my own creativity when I don't go look at other people's like takes on the sketch first. I did end up rotating mine, and I did like a complete rotation. Like I literally just rotated the sketch, and so my photo alignment is gonna look a little bit different because my left is now my right is now my left. I wanted to have like a fun, I think my intention was gonna be like candles, and then I decided that I didn't actually like that, and I was gonna just do like a big kind of like birthday die cut stamped type of like scene across the top. The sketch itself has varying lengths of the pattern paper strips. That was bugging me. So again, I make choices based on what I like for my layouts, my style, my process. So I kept all of mine, I want to say 8 inches tall, because I'm using that 6x8 paper pad from Simple Stories. And then I've pulled in 2 petite patterns from Doodlebug, which is like their B-side tone-on-tone kind of collection. The pink is like a wood grain. The yellow is my absolute favorite linen pattern from them. I like to pull these in, just personal preference, but I also just tend to gravitate more towards those tone-on-tone papers. I do try to make sure that I'm including a couple A-sides, which are going to be those multicolor patterns or something with like the big, loud kind of icons. In this instance, I went with the rainbow plaid. I went with the rainbow stripe so that I can pull in like all the different colors. And then I only have the die cut pack for this. When I am shopping, especially after having run through creating with collections a couple of times, my shopping habits have kind of changed a little bit, because I know how much I can get out of not a lot of supplies. So when I'm shopping something like a 6x8 pad or a 6x6 pad, I've learned to make sure I get at least one matching embellishment, whether it's the sticker sheet or the die cut pack. I think I tend to gravitate towards the die cut pack. It's just a little bit easier. I can store it with the paper pad, and I'm not kind of like looking for I'm not looking for like a 12x12 sticker sheet. And then some of the manufacturers have like sticker books, and to me that's too much. So I like to go with the die cut pack, and depending on the collection, I might grab like a couple sheets of full-size paper. It really just kind of depends on how much I love it, if I have something planned for it, or if I'm just kind of purchasing it because it's going to be a good basic for me. And the girl birthday line and the boy birthday line, in this instance, I bought the pads and the die cuts and kind of called it good. And to me, this is like a generic type of collection. So after I got all my papers trimmed, like I said, I'm keeping mine to be the same length. I went through and I'm going to pierce the holes for my stitching. I did use the sketch as like a guide to kind of figure out where I wanted to put the stitching, I guess. I tend to look, and if I don't like that pattern or I think my stitching's not going to show up on it very well, sometimes I'll move my stitches around. It kind of just depends on where I placed my papers and what color those papers are. And then I tend to use, I'm blanking on it now. They're either 22 or 24 size tapestry needles, so they're the blunt tip, not the sharp tip. And then I just do one strand of DMC and fold it in half so that my first stitch is anchored with the loop method, so I don't have to worry about like taping or tucking my first stitch. When I end it, I just tape it with Scotch tape. That seems to be the strongest hold that I found. I was using the purple tape for a while, but it was peeling up when I was putting layouts away. So for me, putting Scotch tape on the back is just fine. After I did my stitching and knowing that I'm going to put like a very busy die cut scene across the top, personal preference, I need some sort of a like delineation between the two areas. In my mind, it's almost like a shelf, or like when you decorate and you have like a tiered tray, or you have like a mantle or something, you're going to put all your stuff on top of it. In my mind, this is sort of serving that purpose. So I took out this kind of like wonky scallop. I think it's called Bumpy Road. It is retired. Every time somebody asks me, I go hunting eBay trying to find it for you guys. I think it's called Bumpy Road. I haven't seen it in a really long time. I tend to have like just basic border punches. I've had them for probably 10 plus years. I just keep using the same ones over and over again. I wish that people would come out with more like basic border punches and like less intricate, because these are the ones that I tend to use over and over and over again. So I ended up doing a layer of like just some thick white cardstock and then a layer of glitter white cardstock and stacking them together, because again, I'm going to have a lot of stuff going on above it, and then below it I've got some texture from the stitching and then all the busyness of the papers. And sometimes for me, if I just put a single layer of paper, it doesn't have like a strong enough presence for me. So I like to do either 2 or 3 layers in that instance. Now, I stamped a couple balloons. I think I thought I wanted to do more. I did 3 as like a test, didn't go back. I ended up liking the 3 that I did. However, I don't think that any kind of like card making videos are in my future for me, because I'm in frame right now. And when I was putting all the files together and like chopping everything down, I was like, oh my gosh, get it together. Apparently I didn't think to zoom out, didn't think to even look up at my preview window here in a minute to realize that I'm out of frame. So for that 100% I apologize. The balloon stamp set is from Pretty Pink Posh. I had ordered a bunch of birthday stuff when it came out, and you figure by the time I'm using it, it probably came out. You know what? I ordered it right before the scrap room crop, so let's say late January, early February, and here it is October and I'm using it. Well, and now November that I'm doing the video. So like I said, I tend to shop, and then to me this was a quick turnaround. It didn't sit for over a year. So anyways, you can mix and match the layers, which I absolutely loved. And again, I'm so sorry, I'm out of frame. I did a pink balloon, a purple balloon, and like an aqua balloon. I did the 3 different little tails. And yeah, I think when I was like mentally planning this, I thought I was going to do more balloons, but then I kind of got sidetracked having fun making some other stuff. So overall, I'll have the 3. I could have squeezed some other ones in there, and we'll talk more about that when we get to sort of the scene building part. This was just one of those things that I forgot to go back. But in the end, I think having the 3 and they're, with everything else, it worked out. It's fine. I'm just glad that I managed to get a bunch of stuff used up that I had purchased. I had fun. I absolutely love this sort of like bright, but also pastel, like rainbow color palette that this paper collection uses. So that was a lot of fun. Now, this is a candle die set. I believe it's My Favorite Things. You guys know I love to shop there, like retirement sales, the 40% off sales, that kind of thing. I just took some blender brushes and some ink cubes, and I just tried my best to kind of have like a blend going from light to dark. And I did, some of them were dark at the bottom, some were dark at the top. I basically just ran the whole die with some white paper. Didn't cut apart the dies because I think, like I said, I had like a plan at the beginning, and then as I started going, I was changing things based on me not liking what past me decided and current me wanted something different. So I think originally my plan was to ink blend all of the die cut pieces. Wasn't gonna do that for these little tiny wicks, so I just grabbed a water brush marker and colored those in. The ones that had already popped out, I just used a piece of Post-it tape to kind of hold them down long enough for me to get some color on them, and that was pretty quick. I have since cut the dies apart, so the next time I go to use these, I can just run that through with like some black cardstock or something. Now, as I worked, I was kind of doing like a dry run of where I thought things were going to be, what I liked in different places. The little, they're not popsicles, cake pops and like candy treat set is also from My Favorite Things. I actually bought it to do a month in review layout, so those are going to stay out on my desk. I have some thoughts on that. So you'll probably be seeing those again. I'm very much in the mood to play with like stamps and dies and stencils and inks, and I'm also very much in the mood to do some scene building, but I know that it's not a big draw, especially like on my channel. I think sketches and double page layouts seem to be the bigger draw for me, but I gotta do what I like too. So gotta find the balance. I like to do stuff like this to get double duty out of my purchases and to kind of also just give you guys additional like ideas on how to look at things like this in your own stash and how to like mix and match. Like here I'm using pre-made die cuts. I'm mixing it with some stamped elements. I'm mixing it with die cuts from both just colored cardstock and some that I have ink blended, and I'm kind of just mixing everything together because, again, personal preference. I like that sort of mix of different styles and different looks together. I know that this is not for everybody. I know that this takes a lot of time, but I like bouncing around. I like bouncing around between things that are like quick and easy and like a repetitive maybe layout style. So like my next video that I'm going to post would kind of fall more in that, where I'm going to use a photo collage, I'm going to use some big pieces of paper, and I'm going to do like a tucking technique that I do a lot when I do photo collages, and it's kind of like a rinse and repeat style layout for me. But I like bouncing around. I like doing different things. I like bouncing between singles and doubles. I like like different stuff. Like I said, the layout that will go up after this probably took me an hour from start to finish, including like journaling and taking photos of the layout. This one took me probably 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm a mess. If you didn't know that, welcome. If you've made it 15 minutes into this video, I congratulate you. I thought about cutting out a lot of this, and then I was like, you know what? In an effort to kind of maybe save on some questions that I'm probably going to get, I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave a lot of this in here. And a lot of this is just me fiddling around, trying things out, deciding if I like it. If I don't like it, I try it somewhere else. If I don't like it there, I take it off and maybe I just don't use it, or I'll try it again somewhere else. In a perfect world, I would have die cut everything beforehand and then just kind of assembled it like you would with pre-made embellishments. I tried that and I wasn't liking the color combinations that I was pre-making. So I stopped that and ended up just sort of starting with my pre-made embellishments and tucking those in where I wanted them to be. I cut those, I don't know what they are, those like circle banner things. I like to cut things like that into halves or thirds because it goes a little bit further, and I'm basically using them as like a grounding element for all this other stuff that's going to get stacked on top of it, and for like the pop of that color. So with that pink one being on the right, I'm not going to put a pink candle or a pink balloon on top of that. If I was doing like a tone on tone, like rainbow ombre across the top of this, that would have been absolutely beautiful. And now that I said it out loud, I wish I had done it. I didn't in this instance. I just kind of went for like colorful chaos. And when I'm going with that mentality, I try to have like I said, that the pink banner, I'm not going to put pink on top of it. I'm going to put stuff on top of it that's going to stand out and you're going to actually be able to notice it. So that's why I picked like the purple candle and the aqua candle. I did decide not to ink blend the flames. I wanted to bring in some more color and I wanted to bring in a little bit more texture. So I grabbed some yellow glitter cardstock and I cut the flames with that. I did double stack those. I just felt like by the time I was gluing the one layer onto the wick, it needed a little bit more substance, basically. That little like rainbow twirly lollipop was kind of a pain in the butt to put together. I ended up cutting like a strip of cardstock that fit behind it and built it on top of that. I'm not really sure how you're intended to use it. I need to go back and check out the videos that came out when this die set came out, because I think I might have just had like a little bit of a user error with that one. And it happens. It happens. I don't know that all of my treats I used the right layers for. Like I said, I just go with what I like. It wasn't until I was doing the pictures that I was like, you know what? I think some of those were actually lollipops and some of them were cake pops. And I was just free flowing and having fun, putting different layers on and stuff. I did use some of the gold die cuts from the Simple Stories pack intentionally. I wanted to bring in, you would consider it like a neutral. I wanted to bring in something that wasn't going to be all these bright rainbow colors, just to kind of break it up. And then this is the part of the scene where 100% you could call it done and you could have like good open spaces where it does look cute. I have this thing where it's like I do too much. I keep going and I keep finding places to add stuff and I just keep die cutting and I keep gluing stuff on, and eventually I get to the point where I have to say, put it away. Just put the glue bottle down and it's done. It's good. It's done. But I think that's why I like scene building, is how you can find so many different places to put so much stuff And at the end, you have this, just this fun overall, extremely interesting part to your layout. You could easily have just done like a third of this and then had like a big open area to tuck it, like your journaling strips across there, or even handwrite your journaling straight onto the white cardstock. You could even do like big title with like letter stickers or die cut letters. So many, like you could not go all the way across like I did. I love it, so I do it. The last thing that I did was I used these little iridescent star confettis. I don't think that these are like branded. I think these were like a random find on Amazon one day. If I can find them, I'll link them. I'm not too worried about that, only just because most like stamp companies or card making companies kind of have similar things to this. You could do clear sequins, you could do enamel dots, you could do Nuvo drops, I was going to use my little tiny star dies and do some stacked stars in like all the different colors, but I knew that that was going to be like a 3-hour thing, and this was the point where I was like, I need to get this done so that I can edit it and I can share it with you guys and I can move on to the next one. So tiny iridescent stars it was. When I was cleaning up was when I found the Pretty Pink Posh like sprinkles that I had bought that I intended to use with this, but I have a couple layouts that are from this event in this time period, so I'll use them again. I did leave this in. This is just like a quick down and dirty how I get my journaling printed on like pre-printed die cuts or paper. This is actually intended for like a 6x8 binder from Simple Stories. I'm using these sheets instead as notebook paper. I just mark where the space between my lines are. I mark the edges of where my journaling printed, and it's just years and years of practice and muscle memory of doing it. I have a couple videos on how I do my printed journaling and how I line things up. It's not for everybody. I like it. I like taking the time to do it, mostly because I hate my handwriting. Like, let's just be honest. I hate my handwriting, and if I type it, the odds of things being spelled correctly and missing words not happening are greater. So the last thing I did was I took 3 of like the more prominent colors, so pink, purple, and aqua, and I just did a light ink blending around the edges of this. To me, this is going to make this seem as cohesive as a lot of the other elements going on in the page, and it's going to feel like it belongs with everything, and it's not sort of just off on its own looking a little odd. I did go ahead and I added my date. I stamped it in pink because that corner was inked in pink, and then I'm gonna add basically whatever stars I still had left out on my desk, and I'm gonna call it good at that point. I could have kept going. I could have kept finding places to add things. That's sort of the downside of doing scene building. Eventually you just get to a point where you say, you know what, this is good. So kind of a longer video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see more things like scene building or card supplies in videos, please comment below so I can kind of get a consensus on whether this is something you want to see more of or not. With that, I'm going to let you guys go, and as always, I thank you for stopping by and spending time with me.